Today I want to talk about one of the most vital activities you need to do that no one seems to do. It's track your career wins. I want you to think about all the times you wish you would have had this information when you were filling out your resume, when you were telling an interview story, maybe when you were going up for a promotion or a performance review. This is the kind of information you need to have at your fingertips, and it is very difficult to do this after the fact, especially when after the fact was like 10 years ago. So I want to talk with you about the 14 key pieces of information I would capture for every project that I do throughout my career. You can start that today. You can reflect back to yesterday, and you can keep this journal or diary or whatever you want to call it going forward. Today's going to be heavy on the what I want you to capture. I'm going to rapid fire the 14 things, let you know what they are so you can get this info. Also, I do not wait till the end of my shows to give you the gifts. If you want to follow along, I have a nice little booklet called my Career Achievements Journal. It's a couple of pages where I go through each of these 14 items and I give you a sentence or two on what each one of them is. It'll be a great crutch for when you want to do this. So if you're here with me live, just go in the chat and grab the Career Achievements Journal. If you're watching this on the recording, I'm sure it'll be up in the card or in the description. And one other announcement that's really key for those of you who are here with me live or catching this replay before September 29th, I have a count them, 5 days in a row, free resume writing workshop. It's every single day on my YouTube channel, September 29th through October 3rd. But the reason you want to sign up for it is because I'm going to give you a resume content builder, which is an entire booklet on how not only to capture your wins, like the Career Achievements Journal, but also how to format your stories into the resume, what the resume should look like, each section broken down. It's a gift that I will give you immediately when you register. So if you grab the resume content builder, the Career Achievements Journal will be inside that. So grab it. Okay, number one, let's get right into these because there's 14 of them. And I want you to think about all the different things that you do as an employee. Some of you might have one responsibility where you crank the widget out every day. If you're on the assembly line and you do something like quality control to the pretty wind muff or whatever it might be, or make the microphone stand or whatever it is, that's one project that you do day in and day out. So that your project is crank the widget. Your project might be running a project where you're implementing a technology solution. You might be doing that, and you might also be building methodology that your entire company is using. You might be doing both of those at the same time. Each one of those is a project. So I want you to know that when I say a project, it is a unique piece of work that can be defined however you want to define it. Some of you do the same project over and over every day. Some of you take a year to do a project. Some of you take 2 weeks. Any of those are okay. So number one, first thing you want to capture is, well, what is the project? So whatever that is, that is the container for the rest of the information. So if you're running a large scale information technology solution that takes 6 months, you're going to have one major grouping for this particular project with the remaining 13 items that I'm going to share with you. The second thing that I would capture is the statistics. Now let's talk about what statistics are. Statistics are pieces of information, numbers, that help me understand, or anybody who's listening to you, or anybody who's reading your resume, or anybody you're talking to about your promotion, maybe your boss, any of the statistics that paint a picture for the order of magnitude of what it was that you were doing. So what does that mean? Okay, well, if you're running that IT project, the statistics could be, what was the budget? Maybe you know that. How many people were on the project? How many teams? How many countries did you cover? How many different widgets or products or services did you cover? Anything that you can collect that helps you understand, or in the future can paint a picture of the size or order of magnitude of the project. And so it's very easy to do when you're in the middle of it. When is it hard to do? 10 years later. Then you're trying to remember, you're trying to speculate, and you don't really remember a lot of things. You forget a lot of things. And so the statistics could be anything related to that. It could also be, what was our going in insight into what we thought we could gain in market share. anything that you have up front that's numerical in nature or can be manufactured into a number that helps somebody in the future understand the size. That's what I mean by statistics. So it can be many, many things. So when a lot of you say to me, but Andy, I don't remember any numbers, or I can't figure out any numbers, or there's no numbers associated with what I do, that's total bunk. There's always some numerical value you could associate to paint a picture. At a minimum, start there. Okay, number 3, what was the actual business problem that you were trying to solve? Now, I wanna make sure I'm super clear when I say business problem. A lot of you think the activity you're performing is the problem. I needed to hook the two systems together. They weren't talking to each other. That was the problem. No, that's not the problem. Because the two systems weren't hooked together, there was a business thing happening that was bad, like you were overpaying your claims. You weren't able to see real-time data on what was happening in your market, and you were trying to put a trade in to make money for your company. So what was the actual business problem? And if you want to know more about what business problems could potentially be, they usually go along with what I call the Great 8, which are the goals or inherent problems that companies are trying to achieve or solve. Generate revenue, build a brand, a more recognized brand, raise market awareness. They also want to acquire customers. So there's the customer capture. There's also customer service, customer happiness. There's also growth, like mergers, acquisitions, or divestitures if you want to go the other way. There's also risk compliance, anything that goes along with making your company audit proof, safe proof, reducing risk, company growth, all of that, it goes to the stability of the organization. So that's number 5. Number 6 is employee happiness, making employees happier, making processes more efficient, reducing expenses, those kinds of things. Your business problems are going to be found in your inability to attain any one of those 8 or 10 that I just mentioned. So what were the actual business problems? The other option, if you say, well, Andy, everything was fine. My company was generating 10 million. We could have just kept generating 10 million. We didn't really need to grow, but I was chartered with expanding our market share, breaking into new countries, new states, new cities, new geographies. Okay, well, that's an aspiration. That's still the business problem. Your problem is, how do I expand? How do I grow? This is what I'm talking about. This here, if you can actually capture this, and those of you that go to the Andy School of Interview Storytelling know that this comes out first along with the result, this will inherently make you sound smarter than 99% of the world. If you can understand this and speak to it initially, it will give the impression, even if it's not true, that you are a big picture thinker and actually understand at a high level what's occurring. So, but at a basic level, anybody should be able to do this, whether you're a 22-year-old walking out of school into your first job, or whether you're the 72-year-old executive who's staring retirement in the face. Okay, the next thing, number 4, the players. Okay, well, who's involved? So when I was talking about the statistics earlier, we're talking about body count as one way of coming up with a statistic. But, well, who was involved? I was dealing with the CEO and the management team. I was dealing with the board of directors. I was dealing with stakeholders for whom I was putting in a system so that their job could be easier, their processes would be easier, their ability to do their day in and day out would be easier, whatever it might be. There were customers involved. Everybody that we were doing this for was everybody, or every system that we were putting in was aimed at better customer service for our call center reps and so on. We were supporting how many customers, how big were the customers, where were the customers, how many call center reps were there. So who were the players? Maybe you were dealing with partners who were helping you, or they were giving you their software. You were buying their software off the shelf, and that you were going to integrate it into your environment. So maybe you had vendors, maybe you had partners who were selling your product to the rest of the world. Who was involved? That's what number 4 is. And then number 5, well, what was the solution? So now we're getting into the Well, the solution was I needed to hook the two systems together. The solution was I needed to re-engineer all the business processes that the call center reps went through so that they could evaluate from their new executive dashboards the information they needed to help the customer or the patient on the phone who was making an inquiry about their benefits, or meaning their healthcare benefits, or what was covered, whatever it might be. What was the ultimate solution or components of the solution that helped you overcome the business problem on your way to the goals that you were trying to achieve? All right, number 6. Well, what actually happened? What was the result? So the result is, here's what we fixed, and here's what we saved. Here's what we increased in revenue. Here's how many more leads we have. We made a successful merger of a $10 million company with 50 employees, or whatever it was. Results are tangible and they are intangible. And then this bleeds into the actual benefits. Well, what happened as a result of you implementing the solution? So here was the outcome, and here was the benefit, and here's how everybody's life was easier. Here is how much more money we made, but here are some additional things that it did down the road. It positioned us to be able to sell internal projects more easily because we had such a track record of success of implementing these technology projects. It helped us renew our customers more easily because... So there are a lot of benefits that go along with what you do, and the benefits are not a snapshot in time kind of thing. They are generally an ongoing thing. So I want you to think in those terms. Then I want you to think about, well, what challenges did you encounter along the way? Isn't it nice when you're in an interview and somebody says, tell me about a challenge that you overcame? Hey, look, at number 8, you would have all of those. Well, I was implementing this solution and the vendor didn't meet their deadline of having this new module updated, and we were really relying on that. Okay, that was a challenge that you encountered. I went into the boardroom and everybody fell asleep when I was presenting, so I had to overcome their attention disorders. Whatever it is that occurred along the way that you encountered at a micro or macro level, you want to capture. And then, of course, you want to go on to number 9. Well, how did you overcome that challenge? Can you imagine? Now, we're only 9 in here, so we've got 5 more. Having this data at your fingertips, and isn't it easy to do this if you're reflecting each day or each week or each month on your project, and you could pull this together? Well, what did you do to overcome that? Well, I noticed that my boss was having difficulty convincing the board to do this, that, and the other thing. So the way we overcame that was I made a suggestion to the boss that if he reshaped his persuasive argument and sequenced it this way and led with this and what's in it for me and what's in it for them, and then went through the solution and then gave him the case studies to show evidence of the fact and had a more detailed this, that, and the other thing, and that's how we overcame it. Okay, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're capturing that. And then I want you to step back and I want you to say, in hindsight, when it's all done, what would you have done differently? So these are not necessarily the lessons that you learned. Would you have chosen to do this project again? If you were starting over, how would you do this without knowing what you, if you knew then what you know now, what would you do differently at the beginning? And then make sure you inventory what all the lessons are along the way. So this is something that we learned about. This is something, so there's a difference. I would approach the project differently. I would have made sure I had this in place before I did that. Then there's specific lessons you learned along the way. And these lessons are going to be contributors to your personal development, which is next, and your company development. So what did you learn that helped you develop? And then specifically, how did you develop? So I learned that my communication needed to be more crisp. Okay, well, that's very different than in hindsight. We wouldn't have started the project until we had this customer segmentation done, that, and the other thing. That was something that you were able to see in hindsight. Along the way, you were learning things that made for improvements. The lessons you learned along the way were about yourself and the company. So how did you personally develop? That A is a little squishy. And how did the company develop? So I developed personally by my communication style has been restructured. I know how to go through Coach Andy's 9 iterative passes whenever I'm crafting compelling messages. Whatever it is that you did. Now, you don't need to be talking to everybody about all of these, but this is a great way for you to stop, reflect, and take stock of what's transpired for yourself. The other thing is, if you've personally developed, that might be a great thing to look at in your performance review to see, here's what I look like when I started, here's what I look like today. If I want to know how I personally developed, all I need to do is go back a few years and watch my videos from a few years ago or maybe 10 years ago. Then I can really see a long runway. Everything from the way I prepare, which you don't see, the way I deliver, which you do see, to what this looks like. So all of that needs to be captured. And then cap it off with, what were the total victories that you would say you had as a result of that project? Victories could be for your company. It could be we won new clients. It could be we expanded new markets. Victories could be I now have built a business case methodology that we are using for the rest of the organization. And anytime we want to create a statement of work or a business case, we use this template. And so that's a victory. It helps us with efficiency. It helps us with uniformity and so on. All right. So to recap these, for each project, statistics that paint a picture, the goals and the business problems that are associated with it, who is involved, what the solution was, and what the results were, tangible and intangible, and the benefits, tangible and intangible. What the challenges are that you encountered along the way, how you overcame them. In hindsight, what if you could rewind the clock and start the project over, what would you do differently? The lessons you learned along the way that helped you, the inventory of the lessons that helped you and your company develop, and then the total victories that you have. Now, like I said, I have a career achievements journal that's a quick and handy booklet that outlines all of these. That's fantastic for when you put your resume together, your interview stories, your promotional discussions, your performance discussions, and anything like that. Not to mention, it makes for a great reflection document so that you could actually take stock and see how far you've grown as a professional. Grab that, it's free. And if you sign up for the resume writing workshop that we're going to be having on September 9th or 29th through October 3rd, the Career Achievements Journal is embodied in the resume content builder that we're going to give you right away as a free gift. You don't have to wait till the 29th. So grab that. If you like this, please make sure to click the thumbs up button, click the like button, make sure you subscribe to my station so you never miss my Tuesday morning videos and my Thursday live shows. If you're here with me live, we're going to the chat. If you're watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week.